Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much, dear devotees, for joining today for the auspicious day of the appearance of Sri Advaita Acharya. And we'll try to have a look at some of his glories in a few minutes. So this is a wonderful verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, 6th chapter, text 1.
Vande tam Srimad Advaita Charyam Adbhuta Chestitam Yashya Prasadat Ajnopi Tat Swarupam Nirupayet. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Advaita Acharya, whose activities are all wonderful. By his mercy, even a foolish person can describe his characteristics.
So we are those foolish people, and by his mercy, we beg to be able to describe some of his characteristics. So he was born, of course he's not born, he appears in 1433. That's a long time before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 53 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in Shantipur. And Shantipur is interesting, very interesting place. From Mayapur, when we're going back to Calcutta, Shantipur is on the way. And we usually visit Shantipur. This is some of the buildings there, temple. He is combined incarnation of Mahavishnu and Lord Sadashiva. So very interesting combination, Lord Vishnu and his devotee.
So again, it's a unique combination because there's not many incarnations or personalities who are Vishnu and his devotee in one. So this is one of those personalities who is both the Lord and the devotee in one.
Mm-hmm. There you go. This is a really interesting picture. This is Lord Vishnu, bluish color, with the symbols in his hands of conch flower. And on the other side, we have Lord Shiva, Sadashiva, with the trident. So he's one of the personalities in the Panchatattva. So we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the middle, Nityananda to his right, and to the right of Nityananda we have Advaita Acharya. He's portrayed here with a beard. And then on the other side we have Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Thakur. And just who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is regarded to be Krishna himself. Nityananda is Balaram. And Advaita Acharya, we say Mahavishnu, but this combination of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. And Gadadhar is Radharani, and Srivas Pandit is Narad Muni. And all these three are considered to be Vishnu Tattva. So they're in the category of Vishnu. Whereas Gadadhar is Ladini Shakti and Srivas Thakur is regarded to be Jiva Shakti. His father was Kuver Pandit and his mother is Labha Devi. He had two wives, Sita Devi and Shri Devi, and they had 6 children. Achyutanandan, Sri Krishna Mishra, Gopal Mishra, Balaram, Swarup, Jagadish. In the Gaur Ganodesha Dipika, it is written that the divine Yogamaya, Parvati, took the form of Advaita's wife, Sita, and Lakshmi was Shri. So that's very interesting indeed. He was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, as was Nityananda Prabhu. And Madhavendra Puri is extremely important personality in the Guru Parampara. and we'll talk about him when his day of appearance or disappearance comes. Very interesting personality. He's also the god brother. So the Advaita Acharya is also the god brother. So they have the same spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, of Ishwara Puri, who is the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In 1558, so a full 125 years, he was on this planet, and he stayed 25 years after disappearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then returned back to the spiritual world. So he's regarded to be the principal cause of the Lord's coming down here as Chaitanya. Advaita thought that a partial incarnation of the Lord would not be sufficient to completely bring about the welfare, the good welfare of the earth in this state. The state at that time was quite bad.
Yeah, I listened to a lecture, and he was saying that Advaita Acharya, when he went to Navadvip, he saw that all the Brahmins actually were doing crazy things like marrying their dogs, to each other and things like that. So he thought, this is crazy. So that's what really impelled him to call the Lord.
Dogs, did you say?
Dogs, yeah, they were marrying dogs to each other.
Interesting. So he was thinking the world will only benefit if the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself descends to the earth. So Dvaita began to worship Krishna's lotus feet with Ganga Jal and Tulsi leaves. And literally he was screaming, shouting, pleading to the Lord to become incarnate, to come to this world. And these were with roars of love, prema hunkara. So he was shouting, and actually he said that when Krishna heard these prayers, he was forced to descend. So this is along the Ganga, Advaita Acharya worshipping Shaligram, and he's got a beautiful Nrsinga Shaligram, which I think we've got a picture of a bit later on, worshipping with Ganga Jal and Tulsi leaves. Very simple worship, but this is very powerful worship, especially by Advaita Acharya. Here we go. So this is the Nrsinga Shaligram which he was worshipping. In Shantipur. And these are the deities there, Radha Madan, Gopal, Mohan, and Shantipur. Very beautiful deities. And there's the Shaligram there. And the priest is very kind. He'll let you have a really good look at the Shaligram close up. Advaita showed his desire for the Lord of Gokul to descend to the earth. He is the chief reason that Lord Krishna Chaitanya became incarnate on this earth. After the appearance of Sri Chaitanya, Sita Devi took Advaita's permission to come with gifts to Navadvip from Shantipur to see the most beautiful child. Wonderful child. When she saw him, she blessed him by placing unhusked rice and durva grass on his head. A wonderful pastime was prepared by Advaita Acharya, where he was punished by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in order to show the fallen jivas how auspicious it is to receive punishment from the Lord or from the Guru or Vaishnava. So sometimes people think, my spiritual master has told me off, or Vaishnava has told me off. Well, actually, it's not a bad thing. It's a really good thing, actually. How fortunate is a devotee who is chastised by his guru? Because that means the guru cares. Otherwise, if the guru lets the nonsense carry on, who's going to benefit? Mahaprabhu treated Advaita as his elder and spiritual master, even though Advaita considered himself to be Mahaprabhu's servant. And this was not to the liking of Advaita Acharya, because he didn't want to be treated with respect by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to give the respect. So Advaita was pained to see Mahaprabhu treat him with such respect. In order to seek out the merciful punishment of the Lord, he began to explain the path of impersonal liberation, i.e., the Advaita philosophy. Advaita means, one of the meanings of Advaita is, I am one with the Lord. I am the Lord. And of course, as his incarnation as Sankaracharya, this is exactly what he preached. When the Lord caught wind of this, he became extremely angry, went to Shantipur to give Advaita Acharya a good thrashing. When he was thrashed in this way, Advaita danced with joy, and saying, look, my desires have been fulfilled today. When the Lord understood that this had been all a ruse on Advaita's part, he was embarrassed, but also pleased with Advaita. So some more pastimes. When Vishwarup is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's older brother who took sannyas at an early age. He left home when he was very young. So when Vishwarup came to the conclusion after studying with Advaita Prabhu that the world is a temporary place and the only real duty of mankind is to worship the Supreme Lord, he left home and took sannyas. Sachimata, though troubled by his departure, was wary of insulting Advaita for the role he had played in it, knowing him to be a Vaishnava. But when she saw that Nimai too was going constantly to associate with Advaita, leaving his wife Lakshmi Priya alone at home, she began to mentally criticize Advaita in this way. No one knew of this except the Lord. So on the day of Mahaprakash, in the house of Shivas, when Mahaprabhu was fulfilling the desire of every one of his devotees, by allowing them to see his divine form for 21 hours. So they would see the form according to their desire. Like Murari Gupta had a desire to see Lord as Ram. So Lord Chaitanya displayed his divine form as Lord Ramachandra to him. And in that way, many others. Srivas asked the Lord whether Sachi Devi could also be blessed with this divine vision. So Advaita Acharya, he had the vision of the universal form of the Lord. Mahaprabhu answered, my mother has committed an offense against Advaita Prabhu, so I will not show her this form. When the devotees told Sachi what her son had said, she immediately went to Advaita and begged him for forgiveness. After Advaita had heard Sachi's confession, he began to glorify her as the one who had carried the Supreme Lord of all creation in her womb. So in that way, she was forgiven by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now, at one point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was 24, he took sannyas from Keshav Bharati. And that sannyas was in a place called Katwa, which is a little far from Shantipur. And he wanted to go straight to Vrindavan due to his ecstatic love for Krishna. But Nityananda Prabhu tricked him into thinking that the river that was flowing was the Yamuna. Actually, it was the Ganga. And he brought him to Advaita Acharya's place, Shantipur, so that people would see him after he's taken sannyas. His mother hadn't seen him. Many hadn't. So Nityananda Prabhu's trick worked. When he saw the Ganga, he thought it was the Yamuna, became ecstatic. Meanwhile, Advaita had heard that Nityananda had brought Mahaprabhu to Shantipur and came to the Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very surprised. Hey, what are you doing here, Advaita Acharya? Yeah. This is very far from where you are. I'm in Vrindavan, you're in Shantipur. And then Advaita Acharya's answer was very unique. He said, wherever Vrindavan is, wherever you are, Vrindavan is there. And the western flow of the Ganga was the Yamuna. That's what you were saying the other day. So this is really interesting. Part of the Ganga is actually Yamuna. When he heard these words, Mahaprabhu realized that he had been tricked to coming to Shantipur. When Sachi Devi and the people of Navadvip heard that Gaura Hari was at Advaita's house, they all came there to visit him. Seeing him in the dress as a sannyasi and the hair, his beautiful long flowing hair had been chopped. So he had a shaved head. They felt joy mixed with separation. Sita Thakur prepared an immense meal. As Mahaprabhu and Nityananda ate, Advaita Prabhu talked and joked with them. So this is some of the most amazing pastimes, very humorous pastimes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, "You've put too much on my plate. Take most of it away." And Advaita would say, "What do you mean? As Jagannath, you eat 64 or 56 preparations, 8 times a day. This is nothing." And Nityananda would look at his plate and he would say to Advaita, "Why are you such a kanjus? This is nothing. You've given me a few morsels of rice. If I had known, I'd already eaten before I'd come." In this way, they would laugh and joke, and then Nityananda would throw some prasad at Advaita, and Advaita would be dancing when that would happen. Satyadevi was so happy that Advaita Acharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come to her place, Sita Thakurani. And I think he stayed there for a week, right? Every day they would cook for him. Really have some wonderful pastimes. Of the last 24 years, so first 24 years, he was like brahmachari grahastha. And in the second 24 years, he was sannyas. So 6 of those years was spent traveling to and fro Puri. And the last 18 were mainly in Jagannath Puri. We didn't leave Puri. During the 6 years that he was traveling, the Bengali devotees would first find out whether he was present in Puri before going. But during the last 18 years, these trips happened annually from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri.
During Rath Yatra time.
Especially during the rainy season, they would go there. The devotees came from Bengal every year, meeting with the Lord, and stayed there for 4 months of the rainy season. Advaita Acharya would go every year to Puri and stayed for the full 4 months, participating with Mahaprabhu in Leela, such as cleansing of the Gundicha temple, Jagannath Rath Yatra, etc. So this is a fantastic painting showing the Panchatattva doing Sankirtan. And this is in Mayapur, not today, a few years back, I think. This is Advaita Acharya being bathed. And this is the huge deity, Panchatattva in Mayapur. This is his lotus feet. Few less symbols than Chaitanya and Nityananda. And his lotus hands. Other pastimes of Advaita Acharya. Is Kamalaksha was one of his names. So in the temple of Kali, he went with the prince, and he wouldn't offer his obeisances to the deity of Kali. Yours? Okay. So there was a debate by the prince. The prince would insist you should pay your obeisances, but he wouldn't. And the reason he wouldn't was because Kali is his wife, as the incarnation, partial incarnation of Shiva. So anyway, they were insisting. So Kali, the deity, actually burst, and it was quite a shocking event that took place. Advaita Acharya is present in all the 4 rasas in Braja Leela. He is known to be Vikshaka, partial incarnation of Vishaka. He's also known as, so Vishaka is in Madhurya Ras, Purnamasi is in Vatsalya Ras, He's also known to be Madhu Mangal in Satyaras and Rati Manjari as well. Again, Madhurya Ras.
Dasya.
More Dasya Ras. But Rati Manjari is also Raghunath Das Goswami. So interesting. He also discovered the Madan Mohan deity in Govardhan and established a worship and temple of Madan Gopal. He had phenomenal pastimes with Haridas Thakur, who is his disciple. So sometimes Haridas Thakur would go with Nityananda and preach the holy names, and he would come back home and complain about Nityananda. This is a madman you've sent me out with, he would say to Chaitanya. And Advaita Acharya and Haridas would joke with Nityananda. Wonderful pastimes. He had, as we already discussed, 6 children, of which Achyutananda was the eldest. And some of his children went a little wayward. They started actually preaching the Advaita philosophy of oneness with the Supreme Lord being the highest form of realization. So this is Leela, and difficult for us to completely comprehend, but this is one of the things which there was pastimes all about. We talked about the pastime regarding Prashad, and there's a phenomenal pastime where, this is going to be a little tough to read, but in essence, what happened was Srila Prabhupada, before leaving for the West, or many years before, he would go to Shantipur, Advaita Acharya's home, temple. And he would stand at the back and he would just be weeping, begging for the mercy of Advaita. And then one day before actually leaving for America on the ship, Janaduta, he went again to Shantipur. And the Pujari there asked him, I see you coming often. What is your purpose? So he said something like, my spiritual master has given me an impossible mission. And tomorrow I am going to unite to the West, to the US, to New York. And I've come to seek the blessings of Advaita Acharya. If he doesn't bless, then how will there be any success? So anyway, years and years later, this Pujari, he saw like white-bodied devotees coming. And one time they came to his temple, Shantipur, he was still serving there. And this is the amazing thing about these devotees, especially in Bharat. There may be just 1 or 2 in a temple, but their service is so consistent. Anyway, he was serving and somebody gave him a Back to Godhead magazine, and he opened it up and he saw a picture of Prabhupada. And he realized he'd done it. He said he was going to the West to preach the holy names, and he's actually done it. So this Pujari was ecstatic. And eventually he went to Mayapur and he told the devotees that your guru, he used to come to Shantipur, and he came the day before he went to the West. He was crying and weeping and begging for the mercy of Advaita. So this is a really phenomenal pastime.
And it's also said that actually Srila Prabhupada was even greater than Advaita Acharya in a way, because Advaita Acharya just had one God, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, come down, but Srila Prabhupada took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world.
Interesting.
So he really had the blessings of Advaita Acharya.
Okay. And that's it. Anything else? Surinder, anything you'd like to add?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat everybody, Nitai Gaur Haribol. Yes, we have some reference in Prem Dham Deva Stotram. And I could recite a few of these, yes?
Yes, please.
So, Sri Nityananda Chandram Patita Sharanadam Gauradam Tam Bhajiham. So, one of the verse in Prem Dhamdava Stotram is as follows. Prema nama dana janya panchatadvakatmakam Sangadivya parshadasra vaibhava vatarakam Shama Gaura nama gana nrityamatanaagaram Prema dham devam eva nomi Gaura sundaram. By manifesting his fivefold aspect of divinity, Panchatattva, Sri Gauranga was able to widely distribute the sweet names of Lord Krishna, which is a means to the ultimate attainment in human life, unalloyed love for the absolute truth, Sri Krishna. The fifth end refers to that which is beyond the attainment of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. The Lord personally incarnated on the earth planet with his expansers such as Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya, his intimate associates such as Gadadhar Pandit, and his other general associates such as Srivas Thakur. When the Lord appears, he comes armed with the weapon of the holy name of Krishna. While dancing in the deepest ecstasies of pure love, Lord Gauranga Deva, although none other than Sham Sundar, chanted his own names just like an ordinary citizen in the Nadia district. I offer my obeisances to that beautiful golden Lord, Gauranga Sundar, the divine form of Krishna Prema. And another one is as follows. Santi Puri Adhishakalya Dharma Dukha Dhushaham Jiva Dukha Hana Bhakta Sokhya Dhana Vigraham Kali Yagho Ghana Shri Krishna Nama Sidhu Sancharam Prema Dhama Devam Eva Nomi Gaura Sundaram. Appearing in his deity form, Sri Gauranga Deva removed the miserable condition of the living entities and increased the devotional pleasure of his devotees. The Lord incarnated because he was unable to tolerate the grief-stricken condition of Sri Advaita Acharya, the master of that charming village of Santipura. Sri Advaita Acharya was lamenting about this era being overtaken by the ugly influence of irreligious practices. Thus, in order to arrest the immoral activities in Kali Yuga, the Lord profusely distributed the sweet nectar of Lord Krishna's holy names. I offer my obeisances to that beautiful golden Lord, Gauranga Sundar, the divine form of Krishna Prema. Then it follows another one like that. Sri Gadadharadhi Nityananda Sangha Vardhanam Advayaksha Bhakta Mukhya Vanchitartha Sadhanam Kshetra Vas Savilasha Matritosha Tatparam Prema Dham Devam Eva Nomi Gaura Sundaram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's exalted association is even more enriched by the association of grand personalities like Sri Gadadhar Pandit, Lord Nityananda, and others. When Lord Chaitanya incarnated on the earth planet, he fulfilled the desires of the principal Mahabhagavat devotee, Sri Advaita Acharya. Also, after sannyas, he agreed to reside in Purushottama Kshetra, that is Jagannath Puri, to please his mother, Sachidevi. I offer my obeisances to that beautiful golden Lord, Gauranga Sundar, the divine form of Krishna Prema. Nitai Gaura Haribol Prabhu, thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Any questions, any comments?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Nanivan.
Yes. Sri Advaita Acharya, he was there quite a few years before appearance of Mahaprabhu, and he was there
53.
after his disappearance as well, isn't he?
Yes, another
Mm.
25 years.
And another 25 years. Yeah. Yeah. So was he lamenting when Mahaprabhu left?
Oh, very much. Yeah, very, very much.
Yeah.
But he carried on. He carried on. Somebody has to carry on. So,
Yeah.
and
And
also, yeah, go on.
Yeah. Now he had marks on his feet. Did other parts of the Panchtattva, apart from Gauranita, they had the marks as well?
Gadadhar
Good.
had Shiva's Thakur. I don't know.
No, because it's not Admuni.
Yeah, I don't think Shiva's Thakur had.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So at that time,
Hmm.
when Mahaprabhu was here and Advaita Acharya was here, there was part Vishnu in two forms here, isn't it? One is Vishnu. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And Nityananda as well, because
Yeah.
Yes.
Mahavishnu comes from Shankarshan, who's from Balram.
Yes.
But we you know that pastime of churning of the ocean. I think there was 7 different incarnations present
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes. Yes. Amazing.
Yeah, extraordinary, extraordinary. Very true.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Anybody else? Anything else they'd like to share about Advaita Acharya, which we may have missed? And there's a lot of pastimes. But we should pray to him and call out loudly the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so that he can appear in the vast ignorance of our hearts, you know. Very powerful personality. Advaita Acharya. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu loved him very much, you know. So devotees would gain a lot of comfort from him. All right. Thank you so much.
So Advaita Acharya ki
Ki
jai.
jai. So let's pray.